This song, which is quite popular around China, is called A True Story. As its name indicates, it is based on a story that happened in real life. The protagonist in the song is Xu Xiujuan, known in China as the Crane Girl. The girl, who spent her entire life protecting red-crowned cranes, died in 1987 at the age of 23 when she drowned in a swamp while searching for a missing crane. The song has touched generations of people across the country for over a decade. Xu Xiujuan came from a family that has dedicated itself to preserving the birds. Her father, Xu Tielin, was one of the first to engage in crane protection efforts at Heilongjiang's Jialong National Reserve. 10 years after her death, her brother Xu Jianfeng continued to carry on the tradition, eventually sacrificing his life for the endangered species. In April 2014, red-crowned cranes started their breeding season as usual. This created a lot of work for Xu, who worked as deputy director of a crane training and breeding center at Jialong. Red-crowned cranes are an endangered species. There are currently about 2,000 red-crowned cranes in the world, about half of which live in China, where they are listed as a top-level protected species. The birds are known for their impressive mating dances and melodic voices. However, red-crowned cranes have been seriously threatened by the loss of their habitat. Human activity, especially agricultural expansion, reed harvesting, river channeling, and deforestation, is destroying much of their breeding space. In order to increase the species' population, Xu would go into the wetlands every spring to search for and protect their eggs and nestlings. With years of experience, Xu could tell exactly where their nests were located and how many eggs each pair of cranes would lay. He even knew the exact time that the eggs would hatch. Xu was particularly worried about 2 eggs that he expected to hatch on April 18th, as their nest was located close to a residential area.
In the morning, Xu Jianfeng changed his clothes in a great hurry to go on patrol out in the wild. He said that 2 young cranes would be born soon, and he was worried about their safety. He wanted to find them and bring them back.
That afternoon, Xu brought a nestling and an egg back to the breeding center. They were the first 2 red-crowned cranes to be born in Jialong this year.
When he returned, he was wet from head to toe. Even his head was sweating. He told me to put the 2 baby cranes into the incubator.
After Xu made sure that the birds were safe in the hands of his colleagues, he ventured out into the wetlands once again to search for their parents. His worries about the nest were not unfounded, as it had already been destroyed by the time he got there. This was the last time his colleague Xia saw him.
He said he wanted to find the crane's parents. Then he left and didn't return. I thought he went back home.
In the wee hours of April 19th, while everyone else was still sleeping, Xu returned to the breeding center to check on the rescued crane and egg. But after having spent so many days rescuing the birds in the wild, he never got a chance to properly rest. On his way home, he lost control of his motorcycle and went off the road into a pond, where he drowned. He was 47.
There are 12 crane nests in the wetlands. Xu walked in and observed the wetlands almost every day. He drove his motorcycle to ensure the birds' safety, so he was extremely tired. That place over there is the accident scene. His body was found in that pond.
Walking into Xu's office, everything is still as he left it before he died. The book Veterinary Guide is left open on a desk. There is also a notebook recording the artificial breeding of cranes in 2014. Colleagues said that just like his older sister Xu Xiujuan, Xu Jianfeng will forever be tied to and associated with the wetlands.
Sometimes I feel that Xu Jianfeng is still with us, almost as if he's still standing upstairs watching us. I also dream about him, and he guides my work in these dreams.
Actually, it was quite rare to find Xu in his office, as he preferred to go out on patrol. He was also an expert at feeding captive-bred cranes, hatching eggs, and treating sick cranes.
Patrolling for red-crowned cranes in the wild is quite dangerous. Xu Jianfeng always walked in front of us to lead the way. He was very experienced.
Jiang recalled that in the summer of 2007, 4 red-crowned cranes were found in a marshy grassland in a county near Jialong. After hearing about the discovery, Xu Jianfeng drove to the area immediately.
When we arrived, it was storming. The lightning seemed to be reaching the ground. It was quite scary. We were just several hundred meters away from the thunder. There was a water channel between us and the cranes, about 2 meters wide and 3 meters deep. Suddenly, lightning struck near the cranes. The birds fell down and couldn't get up. Xu was quite anxious. He jumped over the water channel without hesitation.
In September 2013, a China View reporter came across Xu in the Jialong wetlands. At the time, he was feeding red-crowned cranes. Cranes came to him from distant areas as long as they could hear him whistling. Xu could often be seen walking down the road next to them, as close friends would.
Now I'm in charge of looking after cranes in the wild, and I'm trying to develop good relationships with them. I still haven't reached his level of skill, but I will protect the cranes as I would my family.
The 2 nestlings that were rescued by Xu have grown up. They are learning to fly. In China, red-crowned cranes often appear in myths, where they are symbols of longevity and immortality.
These 2 young cranes are learning to fly. Once they fly into the sky, they will be like the eyes of Xu, watching the land he deeply loved.
About 800 red-crowned cranes have been trained at Jialong thanks to the efforts of Xu and his colleagues. They also trained over 300 of these cranes to adapt to a more wild natural environment.